Hey, this is Brook, and I'm counting down to teaching guitar for 50 years. I don't know the exact date I started, but I did start teaching my friends when we were pretty young. So it's fun looking back and thinking about it. So I want to maybe summarize a few things the way I approach teaching guitar. What I'm doing nowadays is when we start the lesson, we do a little bit of chord yoga, which is page 1 in my chord book, which is available, but I'm not going to say anything else about that. It's where we just kind of get in the zone, we kind of get our ears warmed up and our fingers and our guitars and tune up, and by playing a few chords softly. Okay, so the first maybe 7 minutes of the lesson is chord yoga or reviewing chords, and then we move forward through more chords, which can be a little repetitive on my end, but I know it is necessary, so I know it will get us to the point we need to be. That's why we start with chords. And, it's not for me, it's for the student. I'm here to serve. Second thing we do is a little bit of sight reading. I keep that short, maybe for 7 minutes. Just run through something. If somebody's really struggling or wants to stay in that book, we can stay in that book during the lesson. But usually I like to shift over to something else, like some things I've written out, which are, there's quite a bit of variety. And then I always like to ask the student to think about a song they would like to learn. And the fun thing I want to tell you is I used to not like certain genres of music very well. I was kind of in my own comfort zone. But over time, I've gotten to where I don't really care. If somebody wants to talk about Bach or jazz band or, heavy metal or thrash or low-tuned guitars or whatever, or surf or blues, I don't really care about the genre, or something, maybe it's a sampled guitar part put in like a hip-hop song. Cool, man, I'll figure it out. I don't care. I like it. I enjoy everything. Even if it's outside of my comfort zone. I like that challenge. So there's nothing anybody can really do to make me upset about their choice of song. And, I used to play old country when I was young, and it wasn't that old yet. But, of course, that's a comfort. I have these comfort zones, and that's fun to go back and relive. But a kid, I've heard about this Jelly Roll guy, and I just don't keep up on all the new artists, I'm sorry. And a kid asked about a song called, I go, what do you want to play? And the kid said, I want to play Save Me by Jelly Roll. I'm like, all right. So I looked it up, and we listened to it, and I go, I think I hear the guitar pattern. And so this is what I came up with. Let's see if I can do it. Actually, I'm going to play the audio file I made, or the Guitar Pro, just so I can see. I put a 66. Well, let me show you the shapes. It's like a C, E minor, looks like A minor, F major 7. And this kid has learned all those chords. So let's just play my Guitar Pro file, and you can hear. I'll just see what, I don't even remember the song, but let's check it out. Now I remember. So it's got that kind of triple, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and it's a C, E minor, A minor, F major 7, and I think it just went on and on. That's as far as we got. So, Save Me by Jelly Roll. probably just repeats. We'll listen to it again. We'll see what he does. If he wants to go on to the next part, we'll learn the next part. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the intro. So that's just an example of how I approach a lesson. And now I was going to mention, I had a really good discussion with a student last night about alternate tunings, and he was really curious about it. He asked a lot of questions, and I said the first one I learned would be like drop D, which you can do pretty easily. I said that's probably the most common alternate tuning. And then you got your half step down with drop D, open G, open E, open A, open D. Then you got your more drop tunings for like metal and stuff. But sometimes the tunings are real weird. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But I was just remembering, well, I'll tell you another thing I do that's kind of fun. Usually, a student will they'll have found a really obscure or small time, like me, only a little bigger time. Not that I'm anything, but somebody that's a little bit obscure. They'll find like an acoustic player, and it might be somebody like in New Zealand, just a young guy that's got a song that's real good, and I'll listen to it and I'm like, man, I'll have to figure out the tuning. Well, with YouTube and all that, I can actually hear it and see it and everything, but it used to be just off of a CD or a tape, and it'd be a bizarre tuning capoed, and it just is completely mysterious. But I've been able to solve some of those, I call them like a riddle or an equation or a puzzle. I've been able to do that, and you just have to kind of hear how the strings resonate and then figure out what the capo is, then figure out the chord. It can be really weird, but sometimes in this day and age I say, well, let me just look the guy up, and I'll find him on like Facebook or something, and I'll say, hello, this is Brook from the United States, and I have a student interested in your song. Could you please just tell me what the tuning is? And a lot of times they're happy to get back to me, and they'll tell me, yeah, man, it's capo 3, and I tune like this, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And that's pretty, I'll, follow them if I can. But, or another thing I'll do, I'll look at a live version, if we're kind of debating fingering, like we were working on a Megadeth song, and it seemed to be covering like a 3 or 4 finger position, yet there was something outside of it. So which finger do you use? And we didn't quite get to this, but I was going to look at a live video and just see which finger see if we can watch, and see, even if it's a ways back, we can kind of tell if they shift. That tells us what finger might have been used. So it's just mind-blowing. What are we going to do next? I have no idea. But first of all, again, we're going to make sure you at least know some chords. And I'll give you some ideas, and I'll have some things ready to go. Sometimes I get stuck in my method of, chord book, sight reading, my riffs, my scales. And I'm trying to loosen up and say, hey man, what do you want to do? Or ask me some questions, or let's have a discussion, and we'll figure out what to do next. And then you might ask a really good question, and I can, like yesterday, a guy wanted to understand how scales work. And I said, let's start with C major. We went around the circle. Let me grab my chord circle. We started in C major. And I thought, well, we're going to go to G, add a sharp. Here's D, it adds, now it's got 2 sharps. Key of A has 3 sharps. Key of E has, I think, 4 sharps. No sharps. 1, 2, 3, 4. We didn't get that far, but we gave him 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scales, or yeah, 5 scales. And I wrote them out real big and clear. And man, I said I've been waiting for somebody to ask. So I kind of wait for them to ask the question that tells me they're ready to go. You know, they're open to learning versus me just saying, here's the order of what you got to do. So somehow, you know, I seem like I'm all over the map and all that, but I do have a strategy in mind. But I am flexible. I can pivot, you know, from